Hello bitches, welcome back to my channel where today I'm gonna be telling y'all about how I got my job as a storyboard artist working in the animation industry. And for those of you wondering what a storyboard artist is, we are basically the people who visually translate a script into what you will see on TV. And basically it's kind of like comics, except it's more in a cinematic form, and then they eventually get passed down to the animators and will get animated to what you will see on the screen. First of all, before you decide to be a storyboard artist, you also have to kind of choose between whether if you want to do storyboarding for television or film. When I was doing portfolio day at school, this was a question I was frequently asked, where everybody was just like, okay, so like, do you want to do TV or film? And I'm just like, what do you mean? Why can't I do both? And the reason why is because the boarding styles for both are pretty different. Television tends to be more flat and simple, and feature film tends to be more cinematic because it's a feature film, and that tends to have more dimension to the shots, and I guess because it's just one project, you have more time to actually like get into that stuff. So that was the ice in my refrigerator. You can also make a portfolio for both feature film and television, except that would just be a lot of freaking work. You can try to merge both into one portfolio, but usually people would recommend you to make a portfolio for both television and feature separately. There are also television series out there that kind of have more feature film boarding behind it. So at the end of the day, like, it's kind of really complicated. You kind of just gotta do whatever you want to do, and just remember that whatever you put in your storyboard portfolio should be stuff that you actually would want to board. For me, one way I knew that I wanted to be a storyboard artist as opposed to a character designer or something else was just because I'm the type of person who, first of all, I like drawings that tell stories, like having situations in a drawing. And another reason why is because I like to just do one drawing and like, okay, next drawing, okay, next. Like, I'm not the type who can really spend so much time working on one design for like weeks or months. That's how I knew I wanted to be a storyboard artist, and also because I like to make comics on the side and just tell a story really quickly. If you like doing things like that, you might probably want to be a storyboard artist. So during my 4th year at CalArts was when I truly started to apply to jobs. I started applying since like January of 2018, but the unemployed life really didn't hit me until I graduated in May of 2018, because, you know, when you're at school, being a student is just kind of like your only job. So it didn't really seem to matter to me during that time. But then, of course, once I graduated was when I was just sitting in my apartment for a few months just doing nothing. Well, I was trying to rebuild my portfolio and I was working on my own stuff, but at the same time, you're just kind of stuck at your home for the whole day. So I wasn't even just applying to revisionist positions. I was applying to color stylist jobs or just non-storyboard artist jobs, and it was just really, I was a desperate ass hoe, okay? I was just applying to many different places through Indeed.com, the studio websites, and I also finally opened up a LinkedIn because when I was in school, it wasn't really emphasized to have a LinkedIn, but that was actually how I ended up discovering the position that I ended up getting. So don't underestimate LinkedIn if you are in animation, because usually people would just say, make a portfolio on a website and just send it out to bitches, and you're just like, all right, and then you're just sitting there waiting for something magical to happen, but you're just like, all right, why ain't nobody reaching out to me? And then you're just like, oh wait, like maybe I should put my stuff out there where the connections actually are, which is where LinkedIn came into play, because that's where you can actually see the profiles of many people working in the industry, and they can see your profile, and they also post job opportunities on LinkedIn. And that's actually where I applied to a position at Glen Keane Productions, and I ended up getting accepted. But before I got accepted, I actually had to take a test. So that's another tip and trick for y'all getting into animation, is that you should know that a lot of these positions normally require you to take a test
test
so that they could see if you're a good fit for the team or the style of the show. And it's funny because at CalArts there was never really any tests or exams, but then once you enter the professional industry, it's just like, all right, bitch, now we're gonna hand out all those SAT exams that you never got at school. But before I actually got the job that I applied to, I just need to let y'all know that that was one of the most frustrating summers of my life. But looking back in hindsight, it wasn't that bad because again, it was just 3 months. It's kind of like a summer break, but still in that moment, everything seems really scary when you don't know what is in the future for you. So I was just kind of sitting there in my apartment all day, just applying to any jobs that I could possibly find, with most of them either not responding to me or rejecting me, or I would get to the point that I interview with the studio and then they're just like, okay, bye bitch, or they just ghost out on me. So, but what I did that summer was basically, I just threw away my old storyboard portfolio that I had when I was at CalArts. Not that there was anything really wrong with it, but I just felt like it was very in the past or just does not represent my current skill level or work. So I decided I'm just gonna make a new storyboard portfolio, and I made a new website on Wix. So this is not sponsored, but I liked using Wix because it's kind of like using Photoshop for a website.
But you know, I might try another platform later on because they still charged me even when I tried to cancel the subscription, but whatever.
But yeah, so once I finished my new portfolio, I would just share it on LinkedIn and just share it on any platform possible just to get it out there, which is why, like, even though some adults say like,
those gosh darn kids just hanging around on Twitter and Instagram all day, like don't they got better shit to do with their lives? Well, you can just tell them,
well bitch, I am trying to fucking get a job by promoting myself on these platforms in which have a greater outreach than me just standing on the street just being like, yo guys, check out my portfolio.
So in addition to that, I was also just working on my own personal comics on Instagram just to show that, you know, you have another side to you that's just not contained in this portfolio. Like, there's more to you than just the work that you have on your portfolio. So I viewed my Instagram as kind of like as a supplemental piece that if people want to check it out, like, holy shit, they have more stuff to look at from me that is just not one dimension. But of course, I think one of the things that I really learned that summer was the power of patience and persistence, because you need to be patient and just realize that nothing's gonna come handed to you on a silver platter, like just like that. And the power of persistence is to just fucking keep fighting through all that fucking shit, even though people tell you no, because it's nobody else's job to believe in you. So you gotta do your best to believe in yourself throughout all the shit life is gonna throw at you. So I feel like I was very used to living a life where I knew what was next. I knew what was coming next, but I was not used to living a life where I did not know what was coming up next. I was pretty uncomfortable with that type of lifestyle, but I think getting myself familiarized with this nomadic life as an animator or a storyboard artist, because in the animation industry, you're gonna be jumping from project to project. You're gonna have these moments of downtime where you're just like, all right, what's next? So I might as well get used to it now, and that is also why I felt more motivated to do my own personal stuff, so that during those times where you do not have a job, you still have yourself. You still have your own shit. Other things I did to really deal with that low point of my job hunt was to just start getting into other activities. I started taking a kickboxing class, which I'm still doing to this day, and it's almost been a year, because I felt like if I placed myself back in the shoes of a beginner in a different field other than art, it really forces you to just kind of stay in the game. It really helped me just remember what it's like to just be a beginner or be a loser again in a place where there's so many other people who know what they're doing, but just keep doing it and just know that if you keep doing it, you will eventually become good at it, because that's what happened. I just kept taking kickboxing classes, but I didn't really think of it as a big thing. I'm just like, yeah, I'm just doing this because it's healthy for me and I just enjoy the activity itself, but it's not something that I seriously want to pursue in my future. Who knows, maybe I'll be back on this channel as a kickboxing professional, but no promises. I feel like when I'm also doing kickboxing, it helps me produce all these fight hormones that allow me to want to persist in the struggles that I face. So anytime I have a bad day at work, or even when I was unemployed and just feeling frustrated with whatever, I knew that, you know, at the end of the day, I'm just gonna go to my kickboxing class and at least have a really great workout. So if I'm not gonna have a good day, I can at least rest assured that I'm gonna at least end this day with a fucking hot ass body, okay? So if you can't feel positive about your current life situation, you can at least feel positive about that super hot body that you're gonna be making this summer. If you wanna be a storyboard artist, here are some tips and tricks that I have up my short sleeves that I can give to y'all when you make your portfolios. And again, this just helped me in my situation, and every situation in the animation industry is kind of a different situation, because that's a lot of situations. There are a lot of different shows out there, and every show is going to probably gravitate more towards a portfolio that matches their tone or voice or style. So I think in a perfect universe, if all of us had the power to just shit art out of our asses within seconds, I think you should just make portfolios that cater towards each show that you apply to. So if there's a fantasy show that you saw the job application for, you should probably submit a portfolio that really cater towards that type of fantasy. But if there's a comedy show out there, you should also make a portfolio that really caters towards that comedy. But at the end of the day, not all of us got the time in our lives to make 10,000 portfolios that cater towards all of those. So what is usually recommended is to have one portfolio with 3 different types of stories, and they could be like fantasy, comedy, action, I don't know. But I think it's also important to know that whatever you put in your boards, do not put in shit that you don't actually want to board when you do become a board artist. Because if a show sees that you can draw hammers really well and you fucking hate drawing hammers, well bitch, don't put fucking hammers in your portfolio, because you might be spending years of your life just drawing hammers. I don't know why I chose hammers. And another tip that I have that I struggled with myself a lot is to do more loose drawings or more loose storyboards, because I come from a very fine arts background where, you know, I was very like, make each painting very precise or make each line weight matter or whatever. I used to just be someone who just really liked illustrating cartoon characters in very rendered forms. But when you're a storyboard artist, that is not the case, because you just gotta scribble that bitch and then just move on to the next bitch. But you gotta do it in a very like loose and appealing way. So yes, you want to keep the drawing loose, but you don't want to keep it like illegible. So a tip I have to practice looseness in your drawings is to literally just time yourself when you draw. Give yourself a minute or 30 seconds when you're doing a drawing, and the goal at the end of that whole time length is to just literally have the drawing finished. Even if it's not fucking perfect, or even if it's not beautiful, you just want to make sure you got that drawing done in like 1 minute, and normally you probably would have drawn the lines a lot faster, a lot looser. You would have found like, I guess, shortcuts to complete that drawing fast. And I guess for me now, the way it feels for me to draw compared to before is like every time I draw something, it kind of feels like I'm writing more than like, ooh, I'm doing a very beautiful line right now. And again, another tip that I strongly suggest for y'all storyboard artists out there, or aspiring storyboard artists out there, is to just keep up with doing your personal work, because like I said, with my own portfolio, I felt like my personal work was kind of a supplemental piece, and for every time I went to an interview or applied for a job, people would always make note of like my personal comics and like say something positive about it. And I think just showing that you're genuinely passionate about telling stories in your life and putting it out in a physical form shows people that you're actually fucking serious about this shit. Otherwise, remember to just not give up after you face several rejections, because they're gonna happen to you no matter what. And I think an important thing you have to remember is when you're applying to an animation job, a lot of the rejections come from just because you don't match what they need at this time. It does not mean that you're shit. I don't think everything is such a black and white situation where it's like, oh, we don't want you because you're ugly, fat, and you're a loser, and just we don't want to deal with you. But yeah, people just sometimes don't find a fit for you at the studio right now out of business reasons or just reasons that aren't. My sister is laughing at me right now. There's a lot more reasons that come with why you don't get the job that you wanted, but at the end of the day, just know that you have to just keep pushing through it, and you're gonna get jobs that you don't always want, but you gotta push through that shit to eventually get through shit that you do want in life. So yeah, once you get a job as a storyboard revisionist or a storyboard artist, keep exerting that effort that you put in as when you were applying to the job. So you don't want to like catfish people with your work. So that's pretty much the advice that I have for now for people who are interested in becoming a storyboard artist. I would again just say, just keep doing what you're doing, keep drawing, keep making stories, and anytime you see that you have an area that you need to improve on, just explore different ways of improving it. Like, show that you are taking in advice, and if it's not advice that you truly believe in, then don't do it, but like, do whatever you feel is right with your art, and then just, again, don't give up, because you're not a fucking bitch, but you are a bitch. So anyway, thanks again for watching this video. I'll see y'all later, bitches.